Hello, good afternoon. Hello, everybody all over the world. My name is Ronnie Sarangaya from Tokyo, Japan. Today, I'm happy to have a virtual lecture meeting. Okay, my YouTube theater. The title of this lecture meeting is Incarnate God Master Kanichi Otsuka will save humanity. Let me start. Prologue. Good afternoon, everyone in the world. How are you doing today? This is Ronnie Sarange from Tokyo, Japan. Today, I am more than happy to make a small virtual lecture in my YouTube channel, as it were Ronnie's theater. I have a clear vision that I will address in front of a gigantic people, like the concert of the famous musician, connecting TV stations all over the world. Almost all of the people in this planet is listening to my lecture. I have such a vision. Such being the case, this is a virtual lecture meeting introducing my experiences in past 42 years, as well as Master Kanichi Otsuka's precious teachings, miracles by his divine power, and his 8 years history in this planet. By the way, Ronnie is a pen name pseudonym. I'm still working as a general manager of some company, so a private company. I'm using this name just in case. Firstly, I'll introduce my experience. Looking back when I was 18 years old, my story starts. Since I was in elementary school days, I've been suffered from so-called brush phobia. I always become abnormally tense in front of a lot of people, especially in high school days. There is a big pressure of studying for entrance examinations. I started to think, why have I been born in this planet? What happens if people die? God really exists in this world or universe? I came to think about, etc. I was questioning these type of philosophical matters to myself. That's why I became interested in Indian yoga and various religious books. Particularly, I was passionate about yoga. In addition to that, I memorize Buddhism Heart Sutra and cast it every day. I also read Chinese Sendo books on esoteric religion, self-hypnosis, psychic ability, the Christian Bible, etc. For about 6 months, I did fast when I was 3rd grade in high school. Took only once a meal per day. I tried to change myself by doing yoga practice, but I couldn't find the real answers nor any salvation from these things. Still, fortunately, I passed the Keio University entrance examination, and I was lucky enough to meet the first lecture meeting of Keio University Ultimate Shintoism Study Group entitled Lecture to Change Your View of the World. On April 6, 1977, when the entrance ceremony was held. On that day, a panel of miracles by Master Kanichi Otsuka's divine power was also exhibited, and I entered the classroom to be held. On that very day, my life changed. My outlook on life has been changed. I was impressed by the sincere presentation from the members of each university study group, but I heard that the experience of those who had relieved from brush phobia by experiencing the skull expansion miracle also bites in. And by any means, it was a film screening of the sublime transmigration into the next world. And I was so impressed and astounded to see that, and thought that if this was the real thing, this is a true religion, because the salvation from this fear is attained. That's because I read an article in Indian Yoga and Chinese Sendo book in high school days. The corpse doesn't get stiff and doesn't decay when the departed soul is really saved when people pass away. In yoga, it is called Maha Samadhi, and in Sendo it is called Shikaisen. I also knew that Kukai, notable Japanese monk in medieval era, had passed away like this. However, such phenomena are rare, and it was thought that there were less than 100 people who could attain this passing since humanity began. The salvation from the death agony and fear is happening here, and for all the followers who cling to this is a great place. I thought that I might be safe here. I couldn't help but tears spilled. When I returned to Hiyoshi's lodgings, I kept crying for about 2 hours, being moved. I've never cried so much in my life, remembering my extreme life in high school days. Looking back my distressing days, it seemed that my soul is finally relieved. My impression is that I could finally meet the real God, the creator of all creatures. The tears didn't stop for some reason. The impression of the lecture was over, and for a while, the boarding life started as a freshman. There was a reaction to the examination for entrance exams, and empty days continued. Was that day a dream? Did I get hypnotized? I thought that the emerging lesion was sometimes dangerous and returned to yoga life again. About 1 month passed after the Japanese long holidays called Golden Week in May. The senior of the Ultimate Shinto Study Group contacted me, and I attended the first regular meeting on Hiyoshi campus starting from 6 o'clock in the afternoon. While the meeting, I started and asked questions to 2 senior members. As I read various religion books poorly, I asked good questions. Strangely enough, all questions are answered. When I think about it later, I understood that the senior had returned in plain language because it was quoted and answered by Master Kanichi Otsuka's precious teachings. There was a breakout around 10 or 11 o'clock in the evening, and I returned to the Hiyoshi Lodge. Why again? I'm crying. Is the soul happy? I can't stop crying. The lower back of the head became sore, and when touched it, the bones under the lower back of the head were soft and expanded. What was said in the lecture meeting was true. Did a miracle happen to me? I couldn't believe it in a while. But the skull expansion with brain development miracle happened to me. Although the human 5 senses are doubtful, I thought that denying this phenomena was denying my existence itself. That miracle triggered me to become the follower of the Master Kanichi Otsuka on May 22nd in 1977. After that, I experienced skull expansion several times, and my character has been totally changed. And at the university festival half a year later, I was acting as a chairperson of a lecture meeting of a university study group. I became very positive, cheerful, eloquent, and even be an aggressive person. I could nicely change my defective character by Master Kanichi Otsuka's divine power. Here is another story about miracle of English speaking when I was a sophomore at the university in 1978. The World Cardiology Doctors Meeting was held at the Hotel Okura, where I had a chance to propagate Master Kanichi Otsuka's divine power miracles. Along with the other members, I tried to speak to foreign doctors in poor English at the hotel lobby of Hotel Okura. Continued for days, and the last day I was talking to an Indian heart surgeon and informed of miraculous phenomena with my beginner's English. But the doctor was doing yoga. His story was exciting. I noted that I was talking in English very fluently for about 50 minutes. English is coming out of my mouth unconsciously when I think I'm going to talk about Master Kanichi Otsuka's divine power and acquiring miracles. This miracle in English has become my strength to open my life in the future. I can now understand that I have re-employed to a new company, appointed as a general manager in charge of overseas business development. I think this is also because I had a opportunity to maximize my dormant natural talents by the guidance of Master Kanichi Otsuka. It can be proved by my own 42-year experiences that skull expansion with brain development is not only to improve the character but also to bring out the dormant to natural talents. After graduation, I passed a major multinational company in Japan, which was my first choice. After 6 years of trade marketing experience in Osaka branch, I passed the internal test of studying overseas for 3 months. I could have a chance to study business English in the south of England with homestay and had an executive intensive program at INSEAD, notable business school in Fontainebleau, France. In my 30s, I had worked for 6 years in the United States subsidiary, experienced both East Coast and West Coast, and Hawaii branch manager. Good news was to be able to attend the intensive executive program at Harvard Business School and spend a month staying at Harvard campus in Boston, studying very hard with appreciation. I've visited about 21 countries so far on business trips and privately, and have spread the world view. Since returning to Japan, I have also been in charge of 3 years as a management member of a joint venture with a French company. Looking back on my past career, I have been successful in my work centered on English, which also starts with a miracle experience of sophomore university days. Starting 2011, I did use SNS to disseminate Master Kanichi Otsuka's precious teaching to Japanese people, and one time in one blog, 1 million access has been recorded in a week and became #1 blogger. In 2018, on June 10th, I had a very mysterious dream that all kinds of people in the world stood in line chanting Divine Sutra Bukkan Seiki. Not only Westerners, Oriental people, but also African people were chanting with their might. The sound of chanting gradually small, and finally I was the only person to chant Divine Sutra Bukkan Seiki. What happened? Many people started asking to me, Ronnie, would you tell us the proper pronunciation, that is, to chant properly? Such being the case, I tried to explain the right way of chanting and real meaning of the Divine Sutra that Master Kanichi Otsuka taught us to them. I was so surprised and shocked to see such a lot of people overseas asking the Divine Salvation and Divine teachings. They're waiting for our dissemination of our missionary tasks. I woke up with a big tear and sweat next morning. Currently, I am in charge of the overseas business development in a small-sized company, and as a volunteer basis, I'm using YouTube videos and Facebook or other SNS tools to inform people of the world about precious teachings of Master Kanichi Otsuka, remembering last year's surprising dream. Well, this is outlining my experiences in the past 42 years, hoping that my story and experiences are beneficial for you. With relate to Master Kanichi Otsuka's teachings, examples, and his divine power, you could register my YouTube channel and watch and study. I also made other languages video by 20 languages with BGM for you. From next page, I'm more than happy to introduce about Incarnate God Master Kanichi Otsuka, real savior of humanity, about his 81 years life in this planet, his precious teachings and miracles by his divine power to save a lot of people. Okay, firstly, I'll touch on the about Incarnate God Master Kanichi Otsuka briefly. Master Kanichi Otsuka was born in Shikoku Island in Japan on 3rd May 1891. Even as a child, he predicted the future, cured the sick, and invented many devices. People looked up to him as a wonder child. Over a period of 10 years, he traveled widely and confirmed the reality of his divine power, not only around Japan but also throughout Korea, Manchuria, Mongolia, and China. He visited high mountains and deep ravines where no humanity he had set foot before. During these years, he exercised his divine power and confirmed his inborn unity with the fundamental principle of the universe. He taught people the divine way, the truth, common to all fields, including medicine, education, politics. Since ascending to heaven in 1972, he has constantly worked great miracles to help people throughout the three stages: past life, present life, and future life of their existence. Master Kanichi Otsuka descended at Awa in Shikoku Island in Japan in the 19th century. It's famous for our odori, our dance. This is our dance, yeah. He made a prophecy to humanity by below way. If my teaching, the ultimate Japanese Shintoism, is spread to the world, people over the world will dance our dance. Next, I'll talk about episode in his childhood. I also felt the presence of another real self beside me when I sat cross-legged by myself, just like the great statue of Buddha in Nara, Japan. I felt that the earth, about the size of the watermelon, was underneath me, walking about on it. I experienced a real me looking down at another me on this small planet. I saw and understood everything on this earth. Yeah, he recalled this way. Master Kanichi Otsuka visited the Asia continent for 10 years from 1912 to 1921 to understand his own divine power. Started, study from Shikoku, where he was born, going to Osaka and board a ship, went to Busan, Korea, and deep inside the mainland China, until up to Mongolia for 10 years from he was 21 to 30 years old. While in the 10 years in walking in the continent, he made a kind of miraculous things, walk in the darkness. In his travels for 10 years, Master Kanichi Otsuka could rely on some extraordinary abilities. In particular, he had the ability to move at night through the darkest forest, and he also possessed the perfect sense of direction as he walked along little traveled paths in the Asian continent. Master Kanichi Otsuka didn't use any light, even in the dead of the night. His divine power enabled him to perceive everything. Unlike other people, Master Kanichi Otsuka didn't walk by using his physical eyes to see where he was going. He used his divine perception to advance through darkness. His senses of direction was also extraordinary. For example, while on a trip in a place north of Beijing, China, his compass refused to point in the right direction. His divine power told him that the direction in which he was holding was right, but the needle of the compass Master Kanichi Otsuka was holding was pointing in another direction. A careful investigation revealed that the ground below him contained highly magnetic iron ore, which was causing the compass to point in the wrong direction. Master Kanichi Otsuka was right. The compass was wrong. Master Kanichi Otsuka could move in the dark and knew the direction he was going because he was endowed with divine power, something which no else possessed, and he proceeded according to what his divine power told him. Okay, he is such a person, I'd say, incarnate God. And he made a very special book entitled the Anyan Kogo in Japanese, The Divine Light in the Dark Night. During his stay in this planet for 81 years, Incarnate God Master Kanichi Otsuka wrote a precious small book entitled The Divine Light in the Dark Night on April 20th in 1936 at Osaka, Japan. This book has 48 pages, B5 types. Okay, and let me quote one of the pages from the memoirs. This is the essence of the, just as we can't find the spirit in our own self, even though it exists, humanity cannot see the divine spirit in the universe. The spirit is known only by the spirit itself. The fact of existing the spirit in ourselves is a proof that divine spirit, God, does exist in the universe. The only enemy of God is the devil in our own heart. Humanity should fight against devil in his or her heart by clinging to the divine spirit, God. Conquering the devil is only accomplished by God and through humans who are faithful to God. Humanity is a son of God. God is always a friend of yours. God does fight against devil together, saving you from the hands of the devil. Unite under the great divine army. Besides this, there is no other way to be a winner. In this great divine army, the ally will appear among the enemy. But to those who are against the divine way, the enemy will appear in allies. There is no enemy to the great divine army. The muzzle of those who are against the great divine army go to themselves. Be careful and take care. Why want to join the great divine army with a great courageous spirit? Everyone will be your ally immediately. Aren't you going to make a big effort and unite with other divine army soldiers? That is the very moment that the dark clouds will soon go away from humanity, and the ideal society, the kingdom of God with a lot of divine right, will never fail to be emerged at your feet. This is one of the essence of the dark in the night, divine light in the dark night. Another big achievement that Master Kanichi Otsuka did is the declaration of the great Japanese spirit at Kashiwara in Japan, September 11th, 1939. Here is Kashiwara, in Nara, which is the ancient capital exists. The first Emperor Jimmu was maybe born. There is a tomb here. According to the Japanese chronicle, Nippon Shoki and Kojiki tell, the Emperor Jimmu, who is considered to be the first emperor, became the first emperor after being enthroned in Kashiwara Palace on January 1st, 660 BC. And he did declare the Japanese, great Japanese spirit. Well, this is original his statement in Japanese, so I can't read here, but I'll translate. I'll read. The great Japanese spirit is the world spirit, the fundamental principle organizing the world, and also the manifestation of the deriving force behind all cosmetic activates. Therefore, it is an immutable, immortal divine way to the eternal future even after the ending of the world, from the beginning of the world. There is absolutely no true great Japanese spirit in the place where you cannot grasp its true meaning, and the world also must follow it. This is an indispensable mission only given to Japan that should be proclaimed to the world. And in order to disseminate this to the world, first, it is necessary to restore all the Japan's institutional system to the great Japanese spirit. With the national unified power of Japan, we have to embark on relieving and saving the turmoil of humanity. This is not a spirit of selfishness that do not respect others for part of their own people. We intend to achieve the human race's goals based on true reconciliation, to eliminate the contradictions in the world by being its true friend, and to bring about a world free of frictions. These goals are desired by everybody. To achieve these goals, we hereby declare a spiritual campaign based on the great Japanese spirit. Okay, this is his declaration, September 11th, 1939 at Kashiwara, Japan. Now, at his age of 55, Master Kanichi Otsuka stood up to save all humanity, establishing the Ultimate Institute Organization on February 11th, 1948 at Nishinomiya, Hyogo Prefecture, Japan. Here is Hyogo Prefecture, and here is Nishinomiya City. Okay, and this is the present organizational head office in, next to the American Embassy in Kamiyacho, Tokyo. And if you like to take a look at his precious picture, please click the, this above URL, because the picture has a copyright, so I cannot show you here. Okay. From this page, I'd like to touch on the actual miracles are occurring to followers for past, more than 100 years type of things. One is the example of the previous life salvation is painless childbirth. I touched on the previous pages that the miracles are extending the past life, present life, and the future life. And this is an example of the past life and previous life salvation. Most women suffer from morning sickness during pregnancy and must endure labor pains for long hours during the birth. As a result, many people now think that childbirth is a great misfortune for women. In Master Kanichi Otsuka's followers, however, pregnant women are free from morning sickness and other troubles, and the mothers give birth to their babes painlessly in a short time through natural delivery. This is caused by the divine power that rectifies the imbalances of body and mind and purifies humans both physically and spiritually. Whereas babes, and moreover, have thick umbilical cords and well-rounded heads, as well as high intelligence and strong bodies. This is a comparison between the two things, ordinary childbirth and painless childbirth. In ordinary childbirth, labor pain, morning sickness, long hours of delivery, use of labor promotion, cesarean section, big pain, not rounded head, sometimes thin umbilical cord. Whereas painless childbirth by divine power, no labor pain, no morning sickness, 15 to 45 minutes delivery, natural delivery without medicine, almost no pain, well-rounded head, thick umbilical cord. Well, this way there's a big difference, if people has have divine power of Master Kanichi Otsuka. And here is an example of the present life salvation, like Roni Sarangaya had brain development by skull expansion. Okay, this is the image of the so the kind of dent or some part of the skull will be expanded to a round shape, natural type. This is a comparison before skull expansion experience and after that. Before, people sometimes are negative thinking, pessimistic, brush phobia like Roni used to be, neurosis, unlucky fate, cannot develop natural talent, lethargic, bad habits, cold personality. After having this experience, develop natural talents, have good grades in schools and positive thinking, sensitive to everything, considerate to others, improve motivation, become optimistic, relieved from bad habits, faith improvement, and expected good fortune. So this way that like Ronnie, experience that by this experience, our natural talent will expanded in full extent. Okay. Lastly, I'd like to explain the next life salvation, that is sublime transmigration. This is a really epoch-making, first history in Japan, in I think humanity. No other countries, nowhere has such a phenomena, I would say. Master Kanichi Otsuka promised salvation after death and provides actual proof of the salvation. This proof is shown by the extraordinary signs of accompanying the death of the fall. These signs are those so clear that we use a special term, sublime transmigration, to describe such wonderful passage into the next world. His believers take his or her last breath in peace, as if living on a happy and worry-free journey. Blessed by the divine power, his follower has no fear of death whatsoever. After death, rigor mortis doesn't occur. The person's countenance becomes very sublime and noble. Master Kanichi Otsuka's follower doesn't just die because the soul transmigrates into an extrasensory world of eternity. Such magnificent transmigration into the next world have hardly ever been achieved, even by saints or eminent priests of other religions. After cremation, the remains are not discolored or gray, as usual, but snowy white, a phenomenon which tends to astound the cremators. This sort of beautiful death is said to be proof that the person has attained spiritual salvation. This is also reflected in the face of the deceased, which is said to have a noble and peaceful expression. This physical mystical phenomena after death has been written about in Christianity, Taoism, China, and Buddhism scriptures. Historically, such cases have been extremely rare. Usually it happens only to well-known priests or people considered saints, and is witnessed by very few people. Transmigration compares to life of silkworm. There is egg of the silkworm. After hatching, the larva caterpillar is coming out from the egg. 3-4 days, and and another 3-4 days this size, and 5-6 days this size, finally this size, yeah. And after becoming this size, gonna be cocoon. Okay. And so after becoming cocoon, 4 or 5 days, butterfly is coming out from the cocoon. Okay. But sometimes this cocoon gonna be black, and no butterfly is coming out. This black kid is the ordinary death of humanity. But transmigration into next world is to be a butterfly, right? So caterpillar will be butterfly. That is transmigration. So it's totally different from the ordinary death. This is a comparison: ordinary death of humanity and sublime transmigration. Ordinary death, body temperature drops. Body begins to harden with rigor mortis. Purple spots appear on the underside of the body, where the blood has pooled and congealed. There might be a putrid odor. Whereas the sublime transmigration, body remains warm and supple. Fingernails and skin color retain health color. No purple spots on the underside of the body. Body retains a normal pleasant odor. In some cases, age spots and other flaws disappear, and the whitened hair of the elderly turns black. The body stays in this state for many hours, sometimes for days. The longest known documented cases being 9 days. Okay. Here, I'd like to, introduce Divine Sutra taught by Master Kanichi Otsuka, Bukkan Seiki, Bukkan Seiki. Goshingo Divine Sutra Bukkan Seiki is the ultimate law and has a great power. When people devoted in this, the past bad karma disappears, their sin and dirt goes away automatically, and not only oneself, but also others are purified. A tongue of discretion solves, and the people will return to their innocent figure as a divine child. People all over the world are supposed to chant this divine sutra for just shorter than 4 seconds, imaging Incarnate God Master Kanichi Otsuka. This is the Japanese Shinto shrines case, yeah? Imaging picture. Bow 2 times, grab 2 times by both hands, both palms, yeah? Join both palms, imaging God, and chanting 50 minutes. Bukkan Seiki, Bukkan Seiki, Bukkan Seiki, this way. And after 15 minutes, say pray 1 minute with appreciation to God. Clap 2 times again and 1 bow. This is one cycle of the chanting the Divine Sutra Bukkan Seiki. Well, if you do that by standing, sometimes tiresome, so you can sit on the knee or sitting in the chair. Bow 2 times, clap by both palms 2 times, chanting 15 minutes. Pray 1 minute, clap 2 times again, bow 1 minute. This is a 1 month cycle. And Ronnie is making the actual, Bukkan Seiki YouTube video, including the 5 minutes, actual recording, so you can listen by taking a look at the another YouTube of my channel, right? Now, I'll explain the miraculous passage into the divine position to the Master Kanichi Otsuka. Master Kanichi Otsuka ascended to on May 18th, 1972. This is called Goshinza in Japanese. Goshinza, meaning ascended to divine position, and means returning to God. He was 81 years old. Master Kanichi Otsuka, who saved all followers from death agony by letting them to go to heaven through miraculous transmigration phenomena that I explained, represented an unimaginable divinity at the time of his own last moment in this planet Earth. After ascending, it took until February the next year before the farewell service is ready to be formally settled. In about 9 months between that, his holy body didn't change at all. It was warm and soft as glossy without any change. 9 months without any change. Master Kanichi Otsuka returned to divine position after executing his great divine tasks on this planet and implement another important salvation plan in this universe. Such being the case, his ascending was not the end but the beginning of the brilliant new age. It was in February 6 in 1973 that the interment service was held, and his holy divine body was rested in the Divine Advent Castle at Mount Manju, located in the west part of Tokyo Prefecture, Japan, holy place of ultimate Shintoism. This is the pictures of the Mount Manju. Secret place Mount Manju at Akirino City, Okutama, Tokyo, Japan. Around maybe 30 miles from metropolitan Tokyo, type of things, 30 to 40 miles. Very secret place. Well, paradise on earth will be realized by the divine power from now on. Lastly, I'll give you his message, his precious teachings. An important turning point in the future of the human race will come soon. Then the world will be united as one. That unification will not be achieved by military force, but the appearance of the true religion, whose guiding principles will help to bring about utopia, the long-awaited heaven on earth of Christianity, the paradise of Buddhism. Thousands of years have passed since human beings appeared on this planet. During this period, humankind has passed through times of war and times of peace, through times of prosperity and times of decline. Now the human race is approaching a great path in its history. The vision is still not clear for you due to the rising fog and clouds. Before long, however, the obstructions will clear away, and people will wander, stand in wonder, and joy at the dawn of a majestic age. How do you like this deep teaching for our humanity's future? Alright, this is almost ending of my virtual lecture meeting in Ronnie's Theater. You will understand what is really going on here in Japan, divine country, to realize paradise on this planet by the descendants of Incarnate God, Master Kanichi Otsuka, the real savior of humanity, Christ. Lastly, I would like to appeal to you, the people all over the world here, in a loud voice. The light of truth finally appears on the horizon. Wake up and open your mind eye. The day has finally come that all humanity will be saved by the real divine power of Master Kanichi Otsuka. Okay, should you have any questions, please do so at my YouTube channel's comment writing or through Facebook Messenger. Thank you very much for intense listening and watching today. Ronnie is looking forward to meeting you in another video and awaiting your kind comments. Okay, this is the epilogue. Can you hear that? What is the tone of the music of the beautiful corpse that is unspeakable? You can also hear the footsteps of the merge, waving their hands wide and raising their feet, one by one, one by one. Who are they? Yes, they are the very soldiers of the great divine army who turned this world into heaven on earth. 15 disciples loved by God, shadow warriors without weapons. They are the true disciples of the real God, Master Kanichi Otsuka. They started marching toward the sacred divine castle of Mount Manju, located in the west part of Tokyo, Japan, the divine country where Master Kanichi Otsuka is awaiting their arrival. It finally begins. The door of the kingdom of God opens. Come on, let's all join that march together. The kingdom of God is finally starting. Okay, thank you very much for your intensive listening. I am Ronnie Sarangaya, the recruiter of the Divine Army Soldiers. Okay, thank you very much for your intensive listening for this virtual lecture meeting today. Goodbye now, have a nice day.